Well, her death has drawn tributes from many musical greats. Celine Dion described her as pure light with a kind heart and a generous spirit. She added, "We will now be missing one of the most joyful voices this world has ever known. Thank you for the music, the laughter and the love you gave us all. We will always love you." Beyoncé said, "Dolly, you were the barometer, the North Star, bold and brilliant, talented and tenacious. You taught so many lessons on how to be uniquely oneself. I'm grateful for your art, your heart, your generosity, your humour and your entrepreneurship." And Billy Joel has said, "Dolly Parton has transcended time and become one of those iconic artists who is known for just being Dolly, beyond a specific song or moment in time. I was one of the lucky ones whose music she covered." Taylor Swift said Dolly managed to give the world the ultimate mystery and fantasy in some corners of her life, but to give full transparency in the ways that counted. Somehow she was true grace and true grit, all in one dazzling person. Her fellow 9 to 5 co-star Jane Fonda said she was heartbroken in a statement. "I never knew anyone like her. She was simultaneously a naughty, playful southern gal from the hollows of Tennessee and a deep, soulful thinker who could see through people right down to their true selves." She added to her gay and trans fans, "I want you to know that she loved you. You know that without me telling you."
Before we begin tonight's performance of 9 to 5, we would like to take a moment to remember the remarkable Dolly Parton, who has sadly passed away today.
Well, the stage musical is an adaptation of the 1980 film of the same name, in which Dolly starred alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. Well, Phoebe Southworth is here with me, and you could hear that audible gasp when people learnt the news, and I think that that's sort of rippled across the world, really, hasn't it? That the shock that this giant figure has gone.
Yeah, I mean, she just meant so much to so many people for many different reasons. I mean, an absolute cultural icon. But her upbringing was fairly unusual. She grew up in Tennessee. She was one of 12 children. She first sang in her local church when she was just 6 years old. But then, obviously, as we know, she went on to become this mega global superstar, selling more than 100 million records. The way she touched all sorts of different areas of life was quite extraordinary. She had her Dollywood theme park, but she was a real advocate of incredibly serious issues. She was a huge advocate for LGBTQ rights. She was a philanthropist. She helped millions of children to read. She also funded research into the Moderna COVID vaccine as well. Well, everyone from Donatella Versace to Donald Trump has paid tribute to her. And I could read you a couple of things that people have said just now. Julia Roberts said she was a magical and joyous human. Beyonce said she was bold and brilliant. Oprah Winfrey said there was no one like her. And last night, the Empire State Building did light up in sparkling pink to commemorate her. There were perhaps indications that her health was not at the best sort of state in the last year. She'd cancelled various gigs in Las Vegas. Her husband, Carl Dean, he did die last year. He was 82. And then obviously the incredibly sad news, which is going to create ripples for, you know, the days and weeks to come. This loss of a legendary philanthropist and music icon.
Indeed. Phoebe, thanks very much indeed. So let's reflect a little bit more on her legacy. Music journalist Paul Stokes is here with me. Very good morning to you, Paul. What was your reaction when you heard? Were you quite shocked?
Just absolute sadness, because I think the thing about Dolly Parton is that obviously the songs of these amazing gritty narratives in them, but she was just a joyful presence and a joyful person. I mean, if you'd seen her on stage or any of her interviews, and obviously the amazing quips that she would come out with, you know, the quotes and things, she was just this real bundle of joy. And I think to have that gone, it just was an immediate sense of loss and sadness, you know. And then obviously then we won't get any more songs and, you know, the music. So yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah, it is, but probably you will reflect more than most, because you actually met her, didn't you? You interviewed her.
I interviewed her, so I went to the press conference at Glastonbury when she was 2014, and then 10 years ago, pretty much to the week, in fact, I did a phone interview with her for Q magazine, and that was amazing, because obviously she's this global icon. She's a bit nervous. She's ringing up. She called up early, so I didn't have to wait around. Normally, rock people at that level are like 2 hours late. She was about 2 hours early, which was amazing. And just chatting to her, there was this real sense of warmth, real sense of authenticity, and she was very candid, very self-deprecating, but at the same time was an absolute icon. And normally, you know, when you get to that level, people like hide stuff. They won't tell you things. They try and create the mystique. And her sort of massive presence was almost the opposite, that she would be quite funny about herself. And she was telling me little stories about what she cooked for breakfast that morning, or how her siblings really liked the fact that the way she cooked chicken was the way her mother had done it. And that was pretty good because her mother hadn't been around for so long by that point. She was very proud of that.
Yeah, so sort of down to earth. And she had a kind of steeliness and self-confidence, but this incredible self-deprecating humour that sort of undercut it as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because if you consider the story, I mean, I think if you were writing a book and you were going to write about a country singer who came from the mountains, you set it in a one-bedroom cabin with 12 siblings, people would go, hang on a sec, that's a little bit fanciful. But that was her life. She came from a really tough upbringing, you know, really didn't have a lot of money, moved to Nashville, tried making it as a singer. It started to happen as a songwriter, and then there's all the sort of things that, you know, people go through in the music industry, the bad side of it. People try and encourage her to give her rights to Elvis, so that I will review, so that she will lose that. She sticks to her guns. She does it. And so there's that real steeliness. But as you say, on the top of that, then she would, you know, have things like, I remember what she once was asking, you know, how do you feel about me described as a dumb blonde? And she goes, well, I'm not dumb, and I know I'm not blonde either. So, you know.
Yeah, and talking about her hair, I know she was once asked, how long does it take to do your hair? And she said, I don't know, I'm never there.
Exactly.
I mean, brilliant wit. But what about her music? Because you're a music journalist, obviously. What was the key to it? I mean, she's prolific, but why were her songs so good?
I think it's two reasons. I think, firstly, as a lyricist, she was amazing. I mean, Jolene, obviously, is inspired by the story of a bank clerk sort of trying to chat up her husband. But actually, when you get into it, it's a universal dark tale. There's a real narrative to it, this idea that this could be anywhere in the world, and people relate to that. And I think if you go across her things, she had a really great way of words, really good at conjuring imagery and telling stories with those pictures. And then on top of that, it's the melodies. As a songwriter, she was an absolutely fantastic, you know, writer of great choruses, great melodies. Think, you know, as your previous guest was saying, Jolene is still in her head all day, and it will be. It is absolutely that kind of song. And obviously, when Whitney Houston turned "I Will Always Love You" into this sort of song that was on top of the pops for every week for about a year, it seemed. I mean, even then, you couldn't really get tired of it because it is, you know, such a sort of iconic and bold, strong pop song. And
I think Phoebe was talking about her childhood. She lived in grinding poverty, 12 of them in the 12 children in the family. And do you think that drove her? Do you think that made a difference? Did it inform her storytelling and her songwriting as well? I think
so. I mean, I think having that sort of unique upbringing in a log cabin in the mountains with so many people does sort of give you, you know, perspective on what's important in life and the things to treasure. But she'd also credit her parents. She was saying her father, who couldn't read, and that's one of the reasons why she got into so many literary programmes, gave her a real sense of, he was a shrewd guy, a business guy, and that gave her a sense of why she became such a successful businessman. But on her mother's side, that was who taught her about music, and she had Welsh ancestry. So a lot of her musical her musical knowledge comes from that, and the sort of folk tradition from the UK, and sort of fed into it. And I think that's why you see that upbringing. It's just sort of perfect if you're going to create a country music icon. You've got the story, but you've also got, you know, the business and the songwriting. And
she said, "I've got nothing to lose. I've got everything to gain." An amazing person and an amazing musician. Paul Stokes, thanks for coming in and reflecting on her life. We appreciate it.